Thomas, it's up for Brits now!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it! Well done.
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Champions.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Arsenal Lounge, the Monday review show, the one you love, the one we all love doing. Today's been a bit of a mix around, you know, COVID's hit everyone, teams are a little bit thin on the ground, so we've had to look at deeper into our squad and we've come out with some real gems for tonight's show. So before we go on any further, let's say hello to them all. So we've got down at the bottom, just underneath me, Babs. We all know who Babs is. He's a big YouTube star. Got loads of, he's got about just over 11 million views now. He doesn't know it though. He doesn't check his phone, doesn't check anything. He's just that blasé about it. Welcome to the show, Babs. Nice to have you on, bruv. How you doing?
No, cheers for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
No, pleasure as always. And we've got a special guest in who is just like, we all know what's going on with him right now because the stories everywhere. But gentlemen, in our far right-hand corner, Jack Robinson, you might know him as the fan who was boarding his flight to come over from the States, and as he was getting on that flight, realizes that the game for Wolves has been postponed. But Superman Xhaka has come into the rescue, and Jack is staying until, when is it, Sunday, Jack? Is that right?
Sunday's correct.
So
Yes.
tell us what happened, Jack. Jack Robinson, welcome from the States, Gooner family and all that. That's what we're here. But Mo, just hold on. Let's introduce Mo as well before we get into it. Mo, how you doing, brother? Thank you for coming on again.
No worries, man. But listen, with Babs here and Jack here, fresh new faces, especially Jack with this exciting story. No one wants to hear from me. Let's get straight into it.
No, sorry, man. I was getting carried away because I've always just caught up with it now, as you know, Mo. So, Jack, tell us what happened before we go into anything to do with the Norwich game and all that. Just fill us in as to what happened to you, just so the viewers and everyone can understand what happened.
But Jack,
Sure.
I'm talking about right from the start. I'm talking about rewind 6 months ago. Tell us the whole deal.
I'll
What?
go back 6 months ago.
Do you want it all that way back? Yeah, let's do this.
I'll go back. Yeah, sure. That's no problem. So 6 months ago, Arsenal was going on summer tour in Orlando, in the United States. I had that booked. We were getting ready to go. And 2 days before we set to leave for Orlando, which I was there for a week as well, they canceled that tour because of COVID. I still ended up going to Disney World and going to Orlando, doing all that, but missed out on the summer tour. And then right when we got back, we decided to book a game for me and my wife's 10-year anniversary. Something special, something we could do that we probably wouldn't do again. Having 3 kids, coming from the States, I mean, it's hard. It really is hard sometimes getting out. So we booked it, checking the phone, checking the restrictions with COVID, and really just checking everything that was going on. It was day to day. Are we going? Are we not going? What's going to happen? Well, the day came and everything was planned. I really thought Wolves were healthy. I mean, Arsenal, one of the healthiest teams. So I thought everybody was fit. Everything was good to go. Get to the airport, get on the plane, everything's good to go. Actually, let me back up a little bit too. So what happened first is we booked. So when you travel, we had to do some layover flights. We had 2 canceled. So one layover was from St. Louis, Missouri to Newark, New Jersey, and then Newark to London. That first one was canceled because of COVID. Second one was St. Louis to Baltimore, Baltimore to London. That was canceled. All due to COVID and all due to United having low staff. The third one finally set through, and we traveled from St. Louis to Washington, D.C., and then D.C. to London. When we're boarding the plane from DC to London, I'm checking my phone, trying to get updates as much as possible of what's going on. I was still following the game too, as well, from that morning. And I saw someone post that it could potentially be postponed. So I did first message Gunner Blog to see if it was true. It took him a while to get back to me, but then obviously it all sank in. And being on the plane, I really had nothing to do. I mean, there's no way I wasn't going to get off the plane at that point with it taking off. Saw that it was postponed.
So, Jack, what was you thinking when you were
Yeah.
getting on that plane now? Obviously, in your head, you're thinking, as any man would, any person would, "Oh, the game's off. I'm screwed now. I'm getting on this plane. I've got a long ass flight all the way over there, and it's all going to be for nothing." That's what was going on in your head, surely.
100% was going on in my head. Trying
Was
to
you
make the
really
best of
being
it.
pissy? Was you being pissy on the plane, like with your missus and all that? I just don't want to talk about it. Just leave me
Headphones were
alone.
in the entire time. Yep.
Really,
Wasn't even
just not
looking.
talking to her. Just
Tears. 100% tears.
forget the
She knows.
anniversary now. You're done now. You're pissed.
She knows how big of a 34-year-old baby I am. I promise you that.
Like, how bad did it get, Jack? How bad did it get? Like, did you actually ignore her? Did you tell her to be quiet, leave you alone? Did it get that
in the
bad?
room, she could tell you I ignored her. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah?
She could. No, I'm not going to do that. She doesn't want to.
Listen, you know what?
no,
I
it
was on
was-
the way up to Leeds to watch Arsenal play Leeds and Leeds, last weekend, whenever the hell it was, and I was checking my phone all the time. And when I was into that journey, I was thinking, is it going to get postponed or not? I would have been mad if that game had got postponed. And that's me going from where I live to Leeds.
He wouldn't have been
mind-
pissy though, because he would be too scared. He would have been too scared.
But listen, this is coming all the way from America, man. You must have been nervous as hell. So you find out the game's postponed, and then what?
So I found out the game's postponed. I go to Twitter. I ranted a little bit just about me being sad, being on the plane, being disappointed, just being upset. I guess like how a normal person, I guess, would act.
Throwing
Maybe
the toys
not
out of
so
pram,
normal.
basically. Reading behind the lines there.
Yeah. I posted to Twitter and I got some retweets that some attention. So what happened was Chris Wheatley, he's the one who reached out to me via Twitter in a message. What he did is he was like, "Hey, I saw your message. I saw your tweet. I'm so sorry. What happened? How long are you staying?" And I was like, "Hey, I'm only in town. I'm only in London until Thursday." He was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I've been speaking with an agent here of a player I'm not going to name right now. And what he could do is, if you're willing to stay till Saturday or Sunday to go to the City game, I think we could potentially get you tickets." And I was like, well, first off, I couldn't believe it. A little dumbfounded. I still don't believe it.
Well, did you start getting really hyped in front of the missus and start losing it? Like,
I didn't start losing it because I didn't.
You didn't believe it.
Well, I didn't know if it would actually. I know he said he was going to try and said he was talking to an agent. So I was like 99, maybe, but there was that 1% that's still like, this won't, something will happen.
But Jack,
So
can I just ask, when you saw Chris's message, and I didn't realize how influential Chris Wheatley was in all of this, so I think big up to Chris
Big
Wheatley.
up to Chris, yeah.
Massive
100%.
respect.
Big up Chris, man.
That is such a lovely touch. Where were you when you got his message?
When I was getting Chris's message, we were on the plane.
All right, okay, so you still hadn't taken off, yeah.
No, we were taking off. We were fully gone.
Oh, so you had Wi-Fi in flight? Cool. Okay, got it.
All right. So
Could
you haven't
be,
just
but we had
glassed him up, have you, Mo?
Audience, it could be we had Wi-Fi in flight. United. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got here now, and then what? So have they sorted everything out for you? It's all been. You've received
on the
emails.
plane.
Have you met with anyone? How have they worked this all out for you?
Plane ride still coming over. I got it. Like I said, Chris Wheatley's the one who messaged me. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna reach out to the player." He ended up naming it was Granit Xhaka. What happened is his agent or personal lines for Xhaka reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna reach out to Granit. Granit's gonna message you on Instagram," which he did, and he's gonna give you a surprise. So I waited. It took me a little bit to get it accepted on Instagram. Like I said, the plane ride was hell with the with Wi-Fi. I don't know if you guys have ever done Wi-Fi in the air. It's awful.
Yeah.
No.
So I got the message from Xhaka, and like you guys read, it was one of a kind. I mean, saying how sorry he was, wanting to know if I would be willing to come to the game, like it was a question. Just a whole bunch of surprises.
Madness.
It is
Absolute
madness.
And then to top it all off, you end up on here. That's the cream. That's what you told us off air anyway, that this was the big one for you. Coming on
100%.
Yeah,
Jumped all over it.
Jumped all over it. Thanks, Jack. No, but like that's a crazy story. So it's all sorted. You go into the game, VIP, all that shenanigans. You're probably going to see Mo there, aren't you? Mo, you could meet up with Jack and say hello. Actually, you'll be VIP, Jack. You won't speak to Mo.
Lev. I'm not going to be the VIP. Babs, you tell us, what's the VIP like? 11 million.
I've never sat in box level, my friend. Like, don't put me in that category. I've not had the privilege yet. I know you have, but I haven't yet. It's not I haven't got the call up yet. Jack's got the call up before I did.
No, fair play. I mean, he's done enough miles to get to get.
Yeah, exactly. He deserves it more than I do.
He does. But look, it's a great little story. And if there's anything you forget along the way that you haven't mentioned, Jack, do so, yeah, because we want to find out more about this story. But let's move it on to go on, Mo. Something else you want to know? Go on.
Before we move on, I just want to say, Jack, like just from regular fans out there, I just want to say how happy I am for you, and I'm sure everyone else feels like that as well, because it's that link between player and fans. It's so important, and it is things like this. And I think, especially with Granit Xhaka's past with the fans, it's nice to see, in my eyes, that he hasn't sort of lost that value for fans. He hasn't sort of just thought, forget it, I can't be bothered with the Arsenal fans, and he's doing his part as well. I think that deserves a lot of respect.
That is a big shout, Mo.
Yeah, I'm 100%. Glad you're the beneficiary of it, but massive respect to Chris Wheatley for a start, and also massive respect to Granit Xhaka, because he didn't have to do this. He could have had that request and just said, no, can't be bothered.
100%, Mo. I mean, words can't explain the gratitude I feel for Xhaka. I mean, speechless, disbelief, all kinds. I mean, dumbfounded. I mean, he didn't have to do any of that, and neither did Chris. I mean, to be honest, Chris did not have to reach out to me via message on Twitter and do all that. I mean, I'm so grateful. Like I told him, like I told Xhaka, I mean, if I could repay this back, I'd repay this back. But I mean, it is a dream. Like I put in my Instagram post, and I mean, it's a dream for me. Beyond
everything happens for a reason, Jack. Because like, if this game wasn't postponed, none of this would have happened for you. None of this chain of events would have happened. You was expecting to go to the Wolves game. The game's got postponed. You're devastated, and look what's come from it. So, like, you know, I think Mo's right. That's a valuable message from Mo there, because thinking of it now, the Arsenal have been a bit distant with the fans, and this is something that's bringing it together. Performances on the field are bringing it together. So it is a nice touch, and we are happy for you, and we are all giving the family. So well said, Mo. And you know, Jack, we want you to really enjoy the event. And anyone who sees that, if you do see Jack there, make sure you make his day as special as possible. You know, and that's coming from all of us. But look, we can all discuss the game now as well. That's a positive thing, right? Because things are going well for us, yeah? Some could say it's only Norwich and this, that, and the other. Babs, I'll start with you because you've been sitting patiently waiting. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. But look, the performances since Aubameyang has been dropped have seemed to improve, right? That's 5 wins, 19 goals. We were struggling to create chances, make chances, capitalize on goals, and now all of a sudden we're scoring. Some could argue that's down to the teams we're playing, but I am starting to see real patterns of play, and I'm seeing some real progress. The lineup obviously changed due to some injuries and COVID. Ben White went out on the right side, and Holding came in his place. What did you make of the performance yourself? And is this some progress, or is this the usual flat track bully excuse that some people give us?
No, I think it's progress. Like, you compare it to the 10 game unbeaten run at the start of the season, that was a bit more iffy. You know, you had games where you get away with it, which is good, by the way, at the time. But you know, getting away with it, fans are never going to get excited about the long term. Whereas now, I feel like we've got a style of play. We're playing good football. We're clicking in the final third, and I think it's always like the manager's always had this in his locker, and he's trained him this way. But they're starting to express it now, home and away. Even though the away games are a bit winnable, you know, Leeds and Norwich are easy games on paper compared to teams we've lost to already. But they're starting to do it home and away. They're not dropping off deeper. But I think there's 2 key differences. You got Lacazette and Xhaka. Xhaka gives Arsenal this extra base in midfield. It gives Partey more confidence, I think, as well. Because Partey's good. He's got great quality. We saw it yesterday. But he needs that guy next to him to just rely upon sometimes. When the going gets tough, he's got that guy next to him who can just slow it down as well. Whereas Sambi can't do that right now either. But Lacazette as well. I think the whole chance creation comes from him being that focal point, that reference point going forwards. Because now you've got the likes of Martinelli, Saka and Odegaard have got a player to play with. And there's technical security there now. So whereas in the past and away games where Arsenal would kick the ball up to Aubameyang, he can't hold the ball up. So you'd lose the ball, go back, and you're back in that deep block again. Whereas now you've got Lacazette there. You fired the ball into him, and we saw it yesterday. He had like 2 players around him, and he still turned them around. And Arsenal were able to then play. And then when you've got pace with Martinelli and Saka, they're always going to hurt teams. And that's like one thing that Arsenal do have. So I think there's been 2 little changes from Arteta. I think we're playing more of a 4-3-3 now as well. If you notice, Xhaka yesterday he was playing as like a box-to-box, getting in the box, creating chances. I think this Arsenal team's just now adapting to what they're good at, and Arteta's adapting to that as well.
No, absolutely. Go on, mate.
Can I just ask, with the Xhaka thing playing a bit more advanced, do you think that was intentional and it was a request or a order from Arteta, or do you think that was just as a result of how dominant we were in the game and just how high we were pressing Norwich and dominating them?
No, it's definitely tactical. The way you know it's tactical is you look at the starting position of a player. Now, if it's where it just starts off and he gets into that position, it's different. But if you look from goal kicks as well, he is playing next to Odegaard. So that's where it's all tactical. Arteta tried it again with the double eights against Sunderland in the Carabao Cup, where you had Smith Rowe and Odegaard. But Smith Rowe has not got that. He's not got the athleticism to go back and forwards, and he's not as good in defensive transitions. So it doesn't quite work off as good. Whereas Xhaka is like the balancer almost. You've got their attacking midfielder like Odegaard, whose job is to dictate the final third. But Xhaka is there to provide overloads. And that's why yesterday, if you noticed, it was the left-hand side that was causing the most issues. Tierney, Martinelli and Xhaka. And there's a few occasions where it was one where Xhaka was playing as a striker. And he could have been played in to score a goal. So I think it's all tactical here. I think he's trying to transition into it and he's adapting to Partey. Because I don't think Partey is good enough defensively to play as a lone 6. So to complement that, he's playing a balanced player like Xhaka, who's dropping off deeper, helping him out when Arsenal defending. But going forwards, he's helping Arsenal create overloads, which I think it goes back to why Arsenal want to sign Renato Sanchez. He's exactly that. He's a box-to-box player who's got that athletic trait to go forwards, but also defensively secure.
That's a good point. And do you know what? I was going to say that Lacazette coming into the team, he holds up and links up a lot better with the front lads, the youngsters. That we noticed that when he first was playing with them and then he got dropped, we always questioned why he wasn't playing in that role. He's the only type of striker of that ilk that we have, and even that he's been kind of forced into playing that role. But the possession that we're getting, ball retention that we're getting, is also giving Odegaard more chance to grab the game by the scruff of the neck. So Mo, you saw the game yesterday as well. What stood out for you? And obviously Babs has hit on a few of the tactical sort of elements there. What stood out for you yesterday's game?
I think what stood out to me is, it's weird because it shouldn't just stand out to me yesterday because we see it week in, week out. But because of the 2 goals, it does make you take notice. What stood out to me is just Bukayo Saka is. When I say he's a victim of his own success, I mean because our expectations of him now are so high. It's crazy that he can get any criticism ever, given where he was 2 years ago, for example. He was just
he gets a lot on him, Mo, by the way. He
does.
Why Not's one, Maximus is another. They quote stats all the time about how Pepe is better, for example.
Yeah, and I find it amazing that Bukayo Saka gets any, and it's not that he gets like hatred or anything, but for me, the guy's above criticism. The way he's come in from the youth team and been so unbelievably consistent is just incredible for me. And when you look at year on year as well, he's improving. He has got as many goals in the league so far this season as De Bruyne, Bruno Fernandes, Riyad Mahrez, Wilfried Zaha. It's just absolutely stunning how well he's doing. And I remember going back to teams like in '98 in the Invincibles teams. A big part of those teams and why they were successful is that the burden was not all placed on the centre forward. Yes, the centre forward got most of the goals, but you'd get double digits from 1, 2, 3 of your midfielders. Bukayo Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe are on track for that, and that is a huge, huge bonus. Since Aubameyang has been left out, I don't want to say we're lucky because I do think it helps because of Lacazette's style of play. But I'm very glad that our midfielders have been chipping in with goals, because if they weren't, Lacazette's not that guy to be on the end of chances in the area. But as long as he's doing his thing and other people are taking advantage and they understand his style of play, that's when midfielders will get goals. Lacazette's very different to Giroud, but you remember what France won the World Cup. Giroud didn't score a goal, yet he played all the games because it was understood what his role was in that team. And once we understand Laka and we play off of Laka, then actually it can really unlock a lot of the midfielders. That's one thing I noticed. And the second thing was Martinelli, Tierney. They were responsible for the first goal. Their work rate, Martinelli pressed, I think, was it Max Aaron?
The second goal as well. He pressed for the second goal when they gave the ball away and Odegaard ended up getting it.
Yeah,
it was him as well.
But the first goal, he pressed something that a lot of other players would have said, I'll conserve my energy. There's no point pressing that. But he pressed it anyway. Ball was kicked up top. Tierney was straight on it. He knew as soon as Martinelli pressed, I need to back him up and I know he's going to force an error. And he stole the ball in. I love that work rate. And I just feel like, above all, what I'm seeing is a team that is behind the manager, because if the harmony of the team was affected by what happened with Aubameyang, we wouldn't have seen this reaction. Instead, we've seen a reaction that to me shows that potentially they are happy that action has been taken and they're with the manager, and so important.
That is very true, Mo. I mean, and Babs also hit the nail on the head for me with regards to the midfield area. Although I still think we could do better than Xhaka, for example, him just being there, an experienced head, has seen Partey's performances improve, which has also had a knock-on effect with the likes of Odegaard, who's now able to move up the sort of pitch a little bit further and cause more damage and have more time on the ball. So, there's a real knock-on effect. But before we go on to Jack as well to find out what he thought of the game, there's a couple of super chats here. Wayne Sage, one of our regulars. How you doing, bro? Thank you so much for your support. Happy holidays, everyone. Where's Shaheen? This is something I wanted to address, Mo, because in the chats, everyone's suggesting that Shaheen is not here because we're doing well and he's hiding. It's like, because they think that for some reason they think Shaheen's really negative, and also because Odegaard's performing well. But no, that's not the reason he's hiding. But anyway, where's Shaheen, he asks. Want to see if he's now warming up to Odegaard. Guy gets better every game. Well said, Wayne. He's getting better. And he's, I've been asking what he was, and he's starting to prove a point. So hopefully he continues. Cliff again, $4.99. Thank you for your support, bro. Love it while we win too, but still don't trust MA. He's still not fully behind him. Only reason Martinelli getting time is because he has the hump with Uber. Time will tell, lads. We'll talk about that Uber situation later on when we talk about transfers. But thank you again, Cliff. So, Jack, I mean, you've been seen, obviously, from the States. Whereabouts in the States are you from, Jack, incidentally?
St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri. Big shout out to St. Louis, Missouri. But anyway, right in the middle. Big up all you people out there. But you've been watching Arsenal from the States, and you've obviously lived that journey with us. So you've seen the performances recently. What have you noticed the differences since, the last few months in our team? And are you as excited as we seemingly are?
Like you guys said, energy, pressing, consistency. They feel like they're together. The back four, especially, even with Tommy out. I mean, Ben White clearly could play right back. There's a lot to look forward to Arsenal right now. It wasn't at the beginning, but they've changed drastically in like 5 games. And it might be, like you guys said, with Aubameyang. It might be Lacazette. They press differently with Laka. His work rate going backwards and forwards, and his hold-up play, and all of that, and Martinelli down the wing. And I'm more of a Pepe guy as well down the wing. I think he gives a little bit more. I'm not saying I don't love Saka and adore Saka. I just think Pepe gives a little more of a goal threat. But he clearly can't move backwards. They've got a lot going on, to say the least.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, we can't deny, this is what I come back to, and I'll ask all you guys here, you can't deny that this crop of youngsters that we've got coming up are really, really good, and the new signings are really good. You can't deny that Ramsdale's he's boosted the confidence of the team from the back line. You can feel it. You can see when he's on the ball, they trust him. They trust him, the man behind them, and then it seems to just go right through the way right throughout the team, and you could start to see some belief. And there was that bit where there was the tackle that created a bit of heat in the game, and I was a bit worried. I was thinking, oh no, we're giving them something to galvanize them to come back, but we were ruthless, and that's what I wanted to see. Yes, it was only Norwich, but there's real patterns of play, and there's real competition for places, as you guys have mentioned as well. Let's be honest, Pepe could come in, ESR could fight it out with Odegaard, ESR could fight it out with any winger right now as well, any of the wide guys. Tierney and Tavares are fighting it out. Samba's trying to get Xhaka's position. Although, again, as I said, we could improve that area. So there is real strength there. And Tomiyasu, he was out. We had White out on the right, and we had Holding in. And we still got Saliba to come back. So I think with a couple of real strong additions, especially in the summer, some proper long-termers, I think this team's going in the right direction. So, it is what it is, in my opinion. But look, you say, do you all agree you see progress right now? Babs, yes?
Yeah.
100%, Jack? We're all in
100%.
agreement.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So look, the game's been postponed for Wolves as well. So do you think that was a positive or a negative? They've had sort of 9-10 games out, no game. They've had time off. We only had 2 or 3. I think it's a bit of a positive. Mo?
Yeah, it's a really tough one, actually, because Arsenal are playing so well right now that if we did play that game against Wolves, I would expect Arsenal to win it. But on the other hand, if we're ever going to have a game postponed because of COVID, you want it to be a game that we've got less than 48 hours in between the previous game. That in itself was a joke that it was ever scheduled like that. So I find it a bit hard. I expected to win that game, but had we dropped points, I would have been straight away criticising the 48-hour or less than 48-hour time frame between the 2 games, and I would have been putting that as my sole reason as to why we didn't win. So given that I had that ready-made excuse sitting in the back of my mind, I probably am glad that it was postponed, because I don't think Arsenal, I don't think Arsenal are going to drop points when we do come to play Wolves, provided we can maintain this form. So rather not risk the injuries and players getting in the red zone and all that sort of thing. And also, let's not forget, if the game wasn't postponed, Jack wouldn't be having this like once in a lifetime moment as well. So
yeah,
things considered, man, it's a good thing. And then we can train specifically for that Man City game, which is a huge game, and I think would do us a huge confidence boost if we can get something out of that game. So hopefully we'll be fresher than them. We'll have more time to prepare for that game, and hopefully get something out of that game to make sure Jack's memory of that game is perfect as well.
No, you got.
I think if we don't
either game. Go on, Jack.
Either way, I think I'll be all right. Either way. But
I just hope Jack's not regretting it because it's some mauling. But I don't think it will be. Babs, what do you think is going to happen with the City game? I mean, there's no point to talk about Wolves, but I mean, do you think, firstly, that it's a benefit to us that the game's being called off with Wolves? It gives us a bit of extra time to recover before we play the likes of City. What's your thoughts on it?
No, 100%. That game, as I said, 48 hours. And you know what is more ludicrous, right? Is that other teams don't have the same. Some teams have it and some teams don't. I think United played today and they play again on the 30th. So it's like, it makes no sense to me. The Premier League right now, they're a joke with the fixtures.
Well,
right
they did
now.
it to us with Brentford, didn't they, at the start of the season?
Exactly,
we were depleted and they still made us play. Yeah,
different standards for other teams. But no, Man City, it's an interesting test. Like, we've got a very, very good home record. I think it's joint best, I believe, with City. So it'll test. This will be a proper test to see if our home form has just been the teams we've been playing, or we can actually cause a big team that is the best team in the league by a country mile, in my opinion. If we can cause them issues, then I just want a good performance. That's all I want. I want to see us compete in this game. Because when's the last time Arsenal competed with Man City? Probably the FA Cup semi-final. I want to, and at the Emirates, I mean, the last time we beat City was probably years ago. I'm probably thinking Theo Walcott against City back in 2016. I can't think of anything after that. So I think this will be a proper test for Arteta's Arsenal. But I don't want it to be a game where if Arsenal lose because City are that good, it'd be like, it's the progress is gone and Arteta needs to go, and it's just overreactions. I think it's a game where it'll be a good test to see how far Arsenal are with the best teams in the league, and if Arsenal can compete, get a result, maybe a draw. I think I'd be I'll take that.
Babs, where do you stand with Arteta right now? Because
I've always been in support.
You've always been in
support. I've always been in support. I've made that clear from the start. At the start, it was just a feeling. It wasn't no, reasoning behind it. And then obviously when he wins the FA Cup, it's like, okay, he's got a trophy now as well, so it's like even better. But last year, I think this time last year, I kept on saying to people that let him get an attacking midfielder. And since he's got an attacking midfielder, which is Smith Rowe, last Boxing Day last year, Arsenal are second for points gained, behind only Man City. So you cannot deny that with a number 10, Arsenal are a decent team.
But one thing that I would say is that with Mikel Arteta, if we lose against Man City and if we get battered against Man City, especially, a lot of people you'll start seeing, they'll be coming out and they'll be saying Arsenal are flat track bullies. That we can only beat the rubbish teams. I'll look at our December run and we will kind of be criticised for winning against all those easy teams, bar West Ham, who are a challenge, especially at the time they were on good form. And you know what? They might have a point. But actually, in this time of Arteta's journey as Arsenal manager, if he becomes a very dominant flat track bully and picks up the odd result here and there against, the big six, for example, that might be enough. That might be enough to push us on to the next level, to get us that Champions League qualification. So in a way, I'll forgive him that. I will take that flat track bullying as a good thing this year. And then if we manage to get top four, then I'll say, okay, fine, now it's time to be more than a flat track bully. But I looked at a 6-game run, starting from Leicester away, going all the way to Everton away. And I said that this is really crucial because in that run, we had Watford and Newcastle at home. Then we had Leicester, Everton, United and Liverpool away. And overall, I think we failed in that 6 games. Then I looked at the December fixtures after that, and I thought, they're all easy. We should win every single game. West Ham maybe a draw. And not only has he won all of them, he's put on some really good performances. And the season has played out exactly how I expected. That where we struggled in that 6-game run that I mentioned before with the 4 difficult away games. And now a lot of games at home, obviously Wolves at home now not happening. But I thought actually December should be a really good month. And now I'm looking at January. In January, there's some really tough games again. And I expect that Mikel Arteta's stock will probably fall in January because we're going to have some choppy results. Mikel Arteta can prove his worth if, for example, fine, we lose against City. Let's just say because they are just a phenomenal team. But in some of the other games, especially the Tottenham game away from home, he makes sure that we get some results. If he does that, he can really, really maintain the credibility that he's gained in December. And I just hope he can do that instead of him being a bit of a roller coaster yo-yo in terms of his reputation and his stock with Arsenal fans.
See, this is the reason I was unsure about whether I was happy with the Wolves game being called off initially. Because if you look at the table right now, we got the fixtures. We got City next, and Spurs have got Watford away, haven't they? On that weekend. So I was hoping we could get an extra 3 points against Wolves in the bag before that happened, because there is a chance playing against the likes of City, you're going to drop points, and there's a good chance that Spurs are going to beat Watford, even if it is away. So there is that. But then again, with the short space of time for recovery, I think we would have really struggled against City anyway. So it is one of those.
Yeah, but there's these big games. Arteta this year has been awful. Like Arsenal been awful in general in every big game against United's or City's or Liverpool's.
Yeah,
but last year we weren't. Last year we actually beat United, we beat Chelsea, beat Tottenham, and even the City games were both 1-0 losses. They weren't like maulings like this year. I think what happened last year compared to this year is he was adapting in big games last year. He was playing maybe more defensive, or not playing the way Arsenal fans want to see us play in every game. Whereas this year he's going, I want to go toe to toe. And it's not working for us because these teams are better than us in those aspects.
So how do you think he's going to line up against City then?
It'll be the same as what we've been seeing in the last few games. I think Tomiyasu comes back in because he hopefully recovers from COVID. But I think it'll be the same team. I think he's just going for his style now, and that's why we're so consistent in other games, because that philosophy works against teams that are not as good as us, but against teams that are better than us or more experienced in that system right now. That's why they beat us right now. But he's not adapting anymore. So if you want to see a manager adapt all the time, players get confused. That's why last year we beat Chelsea and then lose to a Wolves or lose to a Burnley.
So you're saying he's sticking to
he's sticking to his guns. We want a style of play. We want a philosophy, innit? Jurgen Klopp didn't win a title by adapting. He played a style of football. Now he'd get mauled sometimes. Sometimes he would lose massive games. He lost City 5-0, but he still played a style of football.
No, fair play.
That's a good point.
Very good point, actually.
I guess it's the belief of whether you think, because I'm going to put it out there on the table now, right? I have always said I don't think Mikel Arteta is the man to deliver the ambitions that I have for the club. I do think that with the right additions and everything that he could kind of sneak top 4, but I don't think that he'll ever be the man to win us a title. That's my opinion, right? So with this philosophy that Babs is talking about, and I think it's a great point, I kind of think to myself, do I believe that his philosophy will eventually deliver true success? And that's where I'm like, oh God, I'm not sure. So in the meantime, you have to kind of tolerate these batterings every now and then.
But you can't deny that the ethos is changing, which at the very least is a positive thing, because the ethos in regards to the way we're approaching games and the mentality of players that we're going for is changing, and that for me I can see as a positive. But look, I mean, touching on that then, Mo, with AFCON looming, and we'll ask Jack about this because it'd be nice to hear his point. Obviously, I wanted to go into what we're going to be doing with AFCON looming and whether we're going to be going into a transfer window in January. With that, we can't sort of go into this conversation without bringing up the whole Aubameyang scenario, right? Because what I've noticed in particular over the last few post-match interviews with Arteta, he is standing firm. And when they were asking him in the last one, you know, he wasn't in the squad again today, what's going on? He just refused to answer the question. And then they were asking him whether or not he's going to be going in the summer, and again refused to answer the question. So, Jack, you've seen from across the pond what's been happening with the whole Aubameyang saga. What do you think? You know, what do you make of it all? How was it received over in the States? And, you know, what do you perceive happening moving forward? Is he going to be here? Is he not?
That's a good question. It depends, I guess, really, if we get somebody to replace him. What they do with Lacazette. I'm gonna be honest, I wouldn't mind Aubameyang coming back, even with his play as of late. He's still Aubameyang.
Does he fit into the way Arteta wants to play? I mean, Babs has been saying it. He's sticking to his system.
It is a solid point. I mean, you would think if you bring in Aubameyang, you drop Lacazette, that wouldn't fall out. I mean, Aubameyang and Martinelli never linked up the way they should. I mean, there's a lot. The way it was perceived in the States is the same way it was perceived in London or over here. They're, I guess, ready for him to go. They feel like it's another Ozil situation all over again. His play decreased ever since he got the contract. I don't want to say that. I mean, so.
Yeah, we don't want to think it, but you can't deny that there is a correlation of sorts.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to talk about, isn't it? Because what are we saying? Are we saying it's a coincidence, or are we saying that in his head he's thinking, "I've got my money, I don't care anymore"? Which one
like
is
a subconscious thing. He's just down tools.
I think it's less of that. I think it's more of a at the start of Arteta's reign, he was playing for Aubameyang. He was playing towards his strengths. Aubameyang's a striker you have to accommodate, but he'll score you goals. But do you want to accommodate a striker to score him, be the only guy scoring goals, or do you want to accommodate the rest of the players so they can thrive instead? That's why you look at Martinelli's stats this month, Saka this month, where Aubameyang's not played. They've all gone really high. They've all scored 5 or 6 or got 5 or 6 goals.
They're involved more, aren't they, Bev?
Yeah, it's all at once. As soon as Aubameyang goes. It's because Lacazette is not a player you have to accommodate. He's the accommodator. He's the one who accommodates the rest of the players. That's the difference.
I 100% agree with that, because the one thing I was saying is Aubameyang is a striker that likes to run in behind. He likes to be played through and early balls, right? You've seen it over the seasons that's what he prefers. But the way Arteta is setting us up now and the type of players he's bringing in, that doesn't necessarily work for us, and we need someone like a Laka, but someone even better than Laka to hold up. So if this is what Mo, and I'd like to bring you in on this first, if this is going to happen, right? If it's going to happen, one, there's talk of Laka getting a new contract. Yeah. So is that with Aubameyang going out in mind? Are we still looking at potentially bringing in someone else to cover him, or are we going to wait till the summer? Then on top of that, the other questions we can ask is, then are they going to use that money towards someone like Renato Sanchez, and with Ainsley Maitland-Niles going out? But we'll one at a time. Aubameyang situation, Mo.
Look, with the Aubameyang situation, I personally think he has to leave the club. You know, some people think this is ridiculous, what I'm about to say, and other people seem to agree. But when he put his family Christmas picture up on Instagram, sometimes players do send messages with these things, and his caption was family first. Now, I personally think that was him kind of like discreetly sending a message and fighting his fight. I don't think that there's going to be any resolution between him and Mikel Arteta.
No, I think it's done.
I think it's done. So with that, it becomes even more important for us to retain Lacazette, in my opinion, because even if we do go and sign a new striker, Lacazette would be a great plan B. And you can't rely on one man to go and do the business all season long. I don't think Nketiah or Balogun, if Nketiah's even at the club, is who we can rely on to, do the business if that star striker gets injured for a month, for example. So Lacazette, a 1-year contract, I would love to see that happen. But you've got to ask yourself as well, Lacazette right now is playing really well. What he's showcasing is that, like Bavs just mentioned, he accommodates everyone else. You don't have to accommodate him. So with Aubameyang, for example, there'll be some games where he'll play awful, but he'll get 1 or 2 goals. And that's because he is intentionally on the periphery of a game. Everyone else has to do the work. Lacazette never does that. He's always stuck into the game. And as a result, he might not get those 1 or 2 goals. But we're seeing other people get that. I think Lacazette, maybe part of his performances are being impacted by, he knows this is his opportunity to put himself in the shop window. And I think he would choose a 3-year contract, let's say 100k a week, and these are just random numbers, 3-year contract at 100k a week over a one-year contract at Arsenal of 120,000 a week, 150,000 a week, because you don't know what's going to happen next Boxing Day. You might pick up an injury, or you might be on awful form and your stock might have fallen. So I don't think Lacazette will sign a 1-year deal at Arsenal, because this could be his last opportunity to get his big contract before he retires. He's getting on a bit. And
is it a chance, Mo, that maybe Lacazette's agent knows that we're desperate, and maybe they're holding out for that extra year? Because let's be honest, right? If Uber goes, and if they have fallen out that badly, Lacazzette's also in quite a strong position in the sense that we need him right now. We do.
Absolutely. And a good agent will play on that, just how Mesut Ozil's agent did. When Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozil both needed contract extensions, and Alexis Sanchez went to Man United, the fan base were furious. That's when Mesut Ozil, his agent, earned his money. And he went in and said, fine, my player will sign for this number. And that's when the club were desperate. So, of course, the agent will try and swoop in. But will we make that same mistake again? I think it will be risky to give Laka a 3-year deal on a really high contract. So I think the club, in a way, they're on a hiding to nothing, because either they'll get criticised now for letting him go, or they'll get criticised in 3 years for having a guy that's past his best on really big money. So, not an enviable position.
Could they look into cashing on Aubameyang in January, keep Laka, and potentially try and rely on the kids for the rest of the season, Babs?
I think that's what they're going to... I don't know. Is
that not what the old Arsenal would have done?
I don't know. Do you know what? The thing with the whole contracts for Lacazette, we've done it with Aubameyang, failed. Done it with Ozil, failed. So why would you do it again with Lacazette? I mean, there were better players at the time for Arsenal, Ozil and Aubameyang.
What options do we have, though, Bav? If Aubameyang's not delivering right now and he's not in the books, who else have we got?
What Arsenal will do is that second choice striker will become Balogun. That's what will happen. That second, even though, maybe you want a bit more experience, they will spend the blockbuster money to sign that long-term centre-forward. That's what we've all been reported. And then use the young players as the backups if things go wrong. Because as Smith Rowe has shown, and Saka has shown, and all the Hale End players have shown, when they get opportunity, they will take it. And they can play in the Premier League at a high level. It's a risk, of course it is. But as Mo said, I don't think Lacazette accepts that 1-year contract. It's made clear. I think it's been confirmed that Arsenal have offered Lacazette that 1-year contract. It's making sense for Arsenal side, for the player side of it, last big contract. It makes no sense.
That's true. But the problem we have now is if he's not going to sign, the likelihood of bringing in a quality striker in January is very, very unlikely. The only one that's been touted around is Vlahovic, but everyone's after him. So it's a tough one for us to risk that, but it's more likely for us to go and get a midfielder. And
do we not sign Aubameyang in January?
Yeah, but would we get Vlahovic now, in your opinion, Babs?
Money talks. You put the money on the table. What Arsenal have got to look at here, right? For me, Arsenal signing that centre forward, that upgrade on Lacazette, secures us top 4. I think if we get a problem, then for me, I think it's secured. That's how.
Would we not offer him as a make-away, Aubameyang, with
potentially, or I think what Arsenal are looking to do here. Go on.
from what I remember, and I'm just checking the Serie A table now. From what I remember, Fiorentina are really in with a chance of, if they finish strongly, of getting European football and maybe even Champions League. So the way I see it, if they get look, they're 7th on 32 points. They're 6 points off of Atlanta in 4th place. So they're in that battle. Now, the way I see it, and they've drawn their last 2 games. So prior to that, they were, really in there. Now, the way I see it, let's say, for example, they get 70 million for Vlahovic in January. They can still get that 70 million in the summer, but they might also get the additional tens of millions because of Europa League or Champions League qualification that obviously he will fire them to. They're not going to get Champions League without him. They may get it with him. I think it'll be very, very difficult for them for anyone to prize him away unless they play a premium in January.
There's one issue though. His contract's expiring. That's the reason why his price will go down in the summer.
Yeah, it is.
Because that's the reason why. Yeah.
Right,
it doesn't expire this summer. It expires at the end of next season. So he'll have 1 year left.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But it will still go down drastically.
I think they'll risk it. I think they will risk it. Ultimately, look, there will be clubs. There's always clubs that need to buy strikers. Always, So you look at Man United, for example. Ronaldo, if they don't qualify for Champions League, do you think he'll really stick around? I'm not sure. They'll have the money to spend on him. Man City, they need a striker. They were in for Harry Kane. And Ferran Torres is going 50 million there. They could opt for Vlahovic. I just think there will always be people. So if I was a betting man, I do not think Fiorentina will rip their chances of Champions League football by selling him in January and let him go. That's just my guess.
Listen, I agree, Mo, in the sense of, why would they at this stage? But at the same time, I also feel like, personally, I'd like Arsenal to go in and make a statement now and get that striker because it could make the difference for top 4.
But we spent the most money in the summer. Let's not forget that as well.
Yeah, but if you've got a guy that's sitting on the bench, he's not playing, he's your main striker, he's meant to be a talisman, and you're losing out on 15, 20 goals a season, minimums, right? And you want to push for top 4, and you're serious about it, you're losing that. Now, as well as Laka's playing, all you need is one injury, then what?
If right, but listen, I'm talking about the money. Lev, I'm talking about the money, right?
That's the situation, isn't it?
Let me ask you guys a question. Jack, we'll start with you, yeah? How much is Aubameyang worth, given what's going on with him right now, how poor his form has been, and the fact that everyone knows he's fallen out and he's not in the team?
I think he's still got a big market. I would say, wouldn't you guys agree? Big market? I'd say still 30, 40 million.
What do you guys reckon?
Oh, you guys are less? Oh,
no. The reason why I say no is because wages coming to part. He wouldn't want, any top team that signs him will have to pay high wages as well. So it's like that adds to the transfer value. So I think it'll be a lot lower. I think if anything, it'll be a loan with the option to buy. That's the only thing I see happening in January.
The problem you have, Jack, is this, right? He's not scoring at the moment. He's being a problem. He's on high wages, like Babs has said, right? No one will come in for him unless Arsenal want to get him off the wage bill. But then any team that does want him will know that we're so desperate and we're in a bad position that they could come in and try and get him for 20, 25 million or something like that. And Arsenal will probably do it because we want him out by the sounds of it, So... Right. Is there anyone else other than someone like Vlahovic, for example, for you guys? Who else can we go for in January? What are we going to do?
There's a lot of
Ollie Watkins. We'll keep it in the Premier League. What about...
Watkins happens. Arsenal have shown they will sign English players. They will pay money, premium money for English players.
Who else realistically, Babs,
keep an eye on... Calvert-Lewin is one I think stands out for Arsenal. A lot of reliable English reporters have said that Arsenal hold interest in Calvert-Lewin. And as they showed Ben White and Ramsdale, they will pay above the odds for English talent because of age profile, 1, Premier League experience, 2, and thirdly, he just suits what Arsenal require, that hold-up striker, but also a massive goal threat. I think Calvert-Lewin's one to watch, but he'll be very expensive. The chances of Arsenal signing him in January, it's
60,
near impossible.
Probably about 60 mil?
Yeah, he may be higher. He's Everton's talisman. Long-term contract, he'll be expensive.
As well,
he's one that Sociedad are fighting up with La Liga as well. They're up there in terms of Champions League places. And I think Fabrizio has confirmed that he wants to go to a Champions League club. So Arsenal don't have that right now. I don't know. It's really difficult to sign the striker that we want in January. But at the same time, if Arsenal pay the money now and secure Champions League football, that gives us even more options in the summer to then get even better players and get
that's
the
dilemma, though, isn't it?
Players.
I personally would like us to do that, but I don't see it.
Likewise.
And moving on from that, personally, what I see us doing is even if Aubameyang does go, there's rumours as well. Ainsley Maitland-Niles to Roma, where clearly there seems to be a feeling that he's not quite right for us. I think Sanchez is coming in. I think Renato Sanchez will be coming in specifically to cover for Partey if he goes away for AFCON and all of that. Now, there's no doubt with regards to Renato Sanchez's talent. This kid was a wonder kid from sort of young age, 17, 18. Bayern Munich went and got him. He was a ridiculous, phenomenal talent. But he had a very, very bad... I looked into it because everyone keeps talking about his injuries. He's injury prone. So I wanted to see, is this just a myth or is it true? This lad, since he moved to Bayern Munich, he had a massive hamstring injury. I think that was the first one that sort of started things, and he was out for 58 days. Now, along that, he's had non-stop muscular issues, mainly muscular tissue damage, muscular hamstring, thighs, but it all seems to have started because this kid was playing non-stop up until that point. It all seems to have started from that one major injury, and when you look into it further, 58 days, which is less than 2 months for a big injury, a hamstring injury, when you start whittling it down, is this lad being mismanaged? Because throughout his career, he's getting these hamstring injuries, then it's knocking onto his thigh because obviously you're overcompensating. That's what happens with your body when you get big injuries. So I think he's been mismanaged. Is he injury prone? We don't know. Babs or you guys, what do you think? You know, is he a good shout? If he could stay fit, I don't doubt his talent. I've seen him and I've been impressed with him.
Yeah,
what's the price? I mean, what are we paying for him? Like, what's
40, I think. 30, 40, I don't know. It's very mixed. Some
He's
sources
missed
say
a
25.
crazy amount of games, though. Crazy.
He has, but he started quite a few this year, if I'm right in saying.
Yeah, and he's still only 24.
Yeah, you're right. He does fit the stylistic, the profile also require. He fits all of it. The box to box. He can get forwards, defend, and he's pretty young as well, as you say. But the injuries are something. I think Arsenal must look at that and go, we can manage that. Because Arsenal, as you can see with Ramsdale and White and all the side, Tomiyasu, they are very thorough with the transfers now. They will make sure every little thing is checked through. Because I'm not quite sure people know this, but Tomiyasu last year had quite a lot of muscular injuries as well.
But it was his first little blight, because I've looked at his record as well, and he was quite solid with his physically.
Yeah.
But you know, they must have checked all of this before looking at him,
exactly. So the fact that I trust a lot of the Arsenal people now with transfers. Like, after last summer, I'm like, okay, look, Ramsdale was the one I was like, I did not want him. I thought he wasn't good enough, and then he turns out to be this. I'm like, okay, these guys know what they're doing. So that's why I'm hoping these guys have done their research on Sanchez, and they know behind the scenes what his injuries are, and they know they can cope with it. But for me, I look at looking in Liga, I think Lyon's Bruno Guimaraes stands out as well. I think he's the perfect long-term Xhaka replacement. He's box-to-box, he dribbles forwards, he's very good defensively as well, wins a lot of ground duels, which is very important in the Arsenal midfield, helps out Partey. 23 years of age. I think today it's reported his price tag is £35 million, or even less than that, which for a player of his age and his profile, it's a bargain.
Someone's mentioned Kessie as well.
Kessie would be hard. He's going to AFCON. Yeah, so it makes it. He's a free agent though, so if you want to sign him, you can.
Go on, Mo.
A player in Germany that has done really well is Patrick Schick. You know, you remember him from the goal he scored against Scotland in the Euros, basically from the halfway line, incredible goal. And after that tournament, I just thought to myself, there might be a lot of interest in him. He's at Bayer Leverkusen, banging in goals.
Scored a lot of goals.
And, you know, Bundesliga's not a league. You know, sometimes with the French league, people might say, oh, Farmers League, easy to score goals. I don't think that's necessarily fair when it comes to the Bundesliga. Certainly no one says that about Lewandowski and Haaland. I know they're a different level, but people don't minimise their achievements or their goals. I wonder, Patrick Schick, mid-20s, could he be worth a shout? He wouldn't attract a premium that others would.
Looking in the
he's
chat.
A good shout. He's a very good shout. I mean, you got Guri who plays in Liga as well. I think with the Bundesliga, though, you look at the recent signings coming into the league, Sancho and Werner and Havertz. They haven't really, and these guys like Werner was scoring 20 plus goals in the Bundesliga. He can't even score 5 or 10 in the Premier League. So maybe the only exceptions I give the Bundesliga is Aubameyang and De Bruyne that have literally taken the numbers and brought them over.
You could also argue, though, some of those players, you mentioned De Bruyne, came to the Premiership first time around and flopped. Didn't because they were too young. When I say flop, that's a harsh word. I hate that word. It's not flopped. They were too young when they came. They weren't seasoned, you know.
Like Mo Salah.
Yeah. Look at Salah. It happened to him. You could say Lukaku flopped at United, went away, but look, he hasn't yet to prove himself here, Lukaku. But that could happen, you know. The likes of Havertz and them guys, they could come flop and then they could and come back again and be a totally different player. So it's very difficult to say. Now I'm looking in the chats and looking at what everyone is saying, and they're saying, you know, Renato Sanchez, he's made of glass. Some people saying Ivan. This is a strange one for me. The Ivan Toney links. What has the lad done to prove that he's top quality striker for Arsenal? Yeah, I think that's a bit too soon.
Do you know what though?
Perhaps?
Use Ramsdale as that exact same example of what's he done. What did Ramsdale do to come in to become Arsenal's number one?
Different.
You could say it's different, but what did he do?
He's seasoned, Babs. He
was seasoned, but
he came up, went down, went down again. Do you know what I mean? He's seen it all. It's tough.
No, yeah,
and he's
you
played
can
in
say
the
that.
Championship as well. He's played in some tough leagues.
A lot of Ben White as well. Like what Ben White achieved.
I do think
again played in the Championship a whole season, and that toughened him up, seasoned him up.
Yeah, but Tony played in the Championship and he scored goals.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, Lev, I do think Baz makes a good point in the sense that I realise that Aaron Ramsdale, like mentality-wise, he's been through that churn of a relegation and a promotion, and that I think is very tough. That gives you more than just coasting mid-table in the Premier League, in my opinion, right? Mentality-wise. But if we're saying that his biggest the best answer to what has he done to get the Arsenal goalkeeping spot, if that's the best that we can come up with, that's not a very high bar. So on that basis, perhaps Ivan Toney could be an answer.
But with strikers, you want to see goals, Mo, consistently though, surely?
No, but Brentford rank 17th for big chances created. They don't create chances. And in fact, Tony doesn't get as many touches in the box. Look, go back to the game against Arsenal. Tony was a nuisance for Arsenal. But how many times did he take a shot? He wasn't shooting. He was dropping off deeper, causing us issues because he's asked to drop off deeper. He's a second striker in that team. At Arsenal, he'd be our go-to number 9. So, like as yesterday, even though he scored a penalty, he could have scored another one in the first half, that header. I think Tony scores that. Because Tony is Tony's got the basics you want in the striker. He's great link-up play, tremendous in that. And he's a good finisher. He doesn't miss chances. He doesn't get chances in the first place. That's
you know what? One thing this is coming out is I'm saying I want to see goals. But there is this new thing about strikers that they're not all. It's the trend is seemingly changing, isn't it? In the sense that you don't always have to look at Antonio. Yeah, he scored quite a few, but then he hasn't scored for a while. But he's still invaluable to the team, isn't he? So I guess you got a point in that aspect as well.
You got to look at Roberto Firmino. He is the perfect example. We've got two wingers, Martinelli and Saka, that for me have the ability to score 15 plus goals a season, especially Martinelli. And Saka will grow into it. He gets chances, means if he can work on his finishing, he'll score more goals. He could have scored more goals this year. He's missed a couple of tap-ins. So if they're your wing forwards, like you got Salah and Mane as examples, then you want the accommodator who can score maybe 10 goals a season, maybe even plus that, but he's also great at just accommodating the rest of the players. And that is, Ivan Toney does fit that bill.
Sounds like a new movie coming out, The Accommodator. There you go. Go on, Mo. Yeah,
I think with Ivan Toney, honestly, I feel like you can really present a very valid case for and against him. But what I would say is that if we signed Ivan Toney and that was our striker signing for the summer or for January, or whatever it might be, I would be slightly underwhelmed. Because I have to agree with you, Lev, when all is said and done, I want someone that has got a goals record where I can hang my hat on him and say, I expect you to score. Ivan Toney, there's a lot of promise, loads of potential, and you can put a valid case together. But because he hasn't done it, I can't hang my hat on him.
It's a no from Mo, Babs.
You know what I'd say on that? Just quickly reply on that, right? Sorry to go back and forwards, but
no, that's all right.
I'm not even a Tony fan. I'm just kind of making an argument.
But this is the whole point of the show, bro.
Look at the last two teams that have won the league title and the Champions League. Do they have an out-and-out striker, centre forward, that scores the goals?
Mo? Well, let's talk about Liverpool. When you've got Mohamed Salah, it doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter what he is. It doesn't matter whether he is a out-and-out striker or this or that, because he's absolutely world class. So, if, for example, we were to get Mbappe, he might not be that number 9, but he's world class.
I hear that, but that's why I'm expecting Martinelli and Saka to become that. And I know it's very mad to say that right now because these players are world class. But ask yourself the question: where was Mane at 20? Where was Salah at 20? And look what Martinelli and Saka are doing at 20.
Yeah, and they still got Emil Smith Rowe. Let's not forget.
And
lads.
it's
I think
Smith Rowe as well.
Smith Rowe is
know,
going to prove a lot of people.
It
like,
could
I
be
think he's-
overhyping, of course I can be, but I'm looking at these two players. I'm looking at how teams winning nowadays. How Chelsea won the Champions League, Werner weren't scoring goals, but you had the players around him. And now this year you got Lukaku in there, but Chelsea are not as good with Lukaku in the team
But,
sometimes. So
with that age comparison argument, let me point to Nketiah. Because
yeah,
what was Ian Wright doing at 22?
no, you're
So-
right.
Yeah,
He was
Nketiah's
playing.
only 22. Can he not come good? I
could
just
do.
feel like, look, with the age comparison argument,
Don't you dare, Mo. Not in Ketia, man. Please.
I know. But what I'm saying is, there's a reason why strikers attract the highest transfer fees on planet Earth. Yeah, because at any moment in time, there's a group of maybe 10 to 15, maybe 10 to 20 of them walking this earth. They are so rare who you can say they will guarantee me 20 goals a season in the league, for example. It's
you're right.
unbelievably rare. You can get another midfielder, you can get another right back, left back, goalkeeper, this, that, the other. But strikers are just those really, really special footballers, and that's why they attract the transfer fees. And that's why I would just prefer to get someone like Aubameyang. Go and Google it. I say this all the time. Top goal scorers of the last decade. Aubameyang's in that top 10 list. If you can get one of them, that is worth more than any potential or any sort of like money saving. I'd rather go and get a Vlahovic who would be in that list for the next 10 years. That's kind of, if we believe that. Some people might have a different opinion, but given the way he has performed at Fiorentina, I do believe that.
Mo, what I'll say is, I'll throw my little 2 pence in Bav's defence, though, however, is we may have to look at the strikers that are potentially on the cusp of becoming good or great, because how do you compete without Champions League football, without being a guaranteed top 4? How do we compete? So maybe we do have to look at somebody like a Tony or someone like that. I mean, he might have a point. It's going to be difficult to get somebody like that.
Yeah,
Arsenal have always been a team, the successful Arsenal teams of the last 20, 30 years. They sign players with points to prove. Like when Henry came from, was it Juventus? He wasn't scoring 20 plus goals there. He was struggling there. But he comes to Arsenal and becomes a record goal scorer.
But you see, Babs, the difference there is, let's say, I think a team like Newcastle right now, they should be buying players with a point to prove because they need to escape relegation and they need to avoid the money grabbers. But when it came to Arsenal signing Henry, for example, that's because Vieira had a very acute awareness of a very special talent that other people didn't. You could maybe make that case about a point to prove for someone like Bergkamp because his reputation had been harmed in Italy. He had sort of flopped and he had a point to prove where the next move would be really good. But then you could make that case for Martial. Martial right now wants to leave United. He's got a point to prove, Premier League experience, undeniable talent, but I wouldn't want him because I always come back to saying I want that track record of goals.
Yeah, but how many teams we've signed Aubameyang and we've not qualified for Champions League once? We've got that goal scorer,
I get that, but
and
that's
he's
not
won the
down
Golden
to
Boot at
Aubameyang.
Arsenal.
That's
I
not
think
down to
Arsenal were
Aubameyang.
more successful with Giroud. We were
Yeah,
more
but
successful
listen,
because we had
Wash
someone
your
who
mouth
was
out with so
no. I'm saying that
no,
because
you're right. You're right.
you've got a player here who allows Sanchez and Ozil to play, whereas you've got Aubameyang who the rest can't play with. You have to provide for him.
We've been going more than an hour. We need to stop this.
Yeah.
Jack, I want to ask you one question, right?
Yeah.
When you see Granit Xhaka, not that you will do this, but if you could ask him one question and get a guaranteed honest answer, what one question would you ask him?
Oh man.
Do you watch Arsenal Lounge?
Okay.
Nice, Babs. I
I'll throw that at
love
him.
that. Or can you go on the Arsenal Lounge? That would be a good one as well.
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, off the top of my head, one question to ask him. I mean, what's it like really playing for Arsenal? What does the club really mean to him? I mean, who's his favorite player? Stuff like that. I mean, I hate that question, who's your favorite player? But, I mean, what the club really means to him, because obviously we've seen ups and downs. So I would love to hear an honest answer from him. I really would.
We're going to see pictures.
I've
We're going to get
always loved the
pictures,
way
Jack, as well. We're going to get pictures. We want to see it, as much of it as we can, man. We want to see your experience.
I'll have my wife do that for sure, 100%.
Cool.
Oh, there
Cool.
you
Jack,
go.
what's your
And
Instagram
myself.
for people can see your story on the day? I want to know what your Instagram is.
Oh man, I gotta look at it. I think it's JK, so JK Robbie, ROBBIE.
Okay, cool. JK Robbie.
No, make sure you follow his story. Jack will be going to the Emirates to watch Man City, courtesy of Arsenal and Xhaka himself. So make sure you follow his story. He'll be posting pictures, I'm sure, and everyone can have a look at what's going on. And if you do see him there at the ground, make sure you buy him a drink, or make sure he really enjoys the day there. Yeah, Mo, you can buy
he's getting free drinks anyways.
He's getting free drinks as well. Wait, can you bring Mo down some pies, Jack? Can you bring Mo down some pies and all that?
He's getting free blankets, free everything.
Free blankets, yeah. Mo's gonna be calling Jack later.
I'll take everything I can. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And Babs, you got
take a marker, get it signed.
Yeah. Get it, everything signed. And Babs, obviously, you want to shout out anything that's coming up, your show and all that?
I just daily uploads on my YouTube channel.
Everyone knows him anyway.
No, seriously, it's not that. I don't have anything big coming up. I've not got this
11 million.
I've not got this movie. Not got this movie I'm dropping. Maybe The Accommodator. I might drop that soon. That's coming out.
The Accommodator, directed by Babs.
I'll put it in with the credits.
A really boring
just
version of the what was it? The Equalizer, but just The Accommodator.
But yeah, it's just Babs 14 on YouTube if you want to watch Arsenal content.
Now, make sure you follow Babs. He's got great content. One of the best editors. I don't know anything about editing, so man, he's just everything he does. It looks like I'm watching TV. So it's great, Babs. Well done, mate. Congratulations.
I appreciate that.
And Mo, anything else you want to add before we go?
No, listen. Let's just be grateful that we had a nice Christmas, wasn't ruined, and
can't believe you still got your Christmas tree, Mo. Like, I can't believe that. Muslim, and you got a Christmas tree. Someone did say that in the chat, by the way. I didn't say anything, but you're an idiot. Like, I'm not being funny. Why have you got a Christmas tree if you're Muslim, he asked.
Listen, yet another Christmas present for you all. Half-time, Newcastle 1, Man United 0. That's the latest score.
No, you're lying.
Yes,
no, it's true.
Oh, no way.
Apparently. So, fingers crossed it stays that way. And listen, this is important to us because if Man United don't win this game, then they can't go above us with their games in hand. And we are United and Tottenham losing these games in hand or drawing them. So fingers crossed, man. But I'm sure United will make a comeback. Let's not get too excited. But as long as Arsenal keep on doing the business, if we win all of our games, then that's all we can do. So, Jack, I really hope you're a good luck charm at the City game. If we win that, that's us announcing in 2022 we are a proper team. Fingers crossed that happens.
Jack, welcome to the Gooner family, Jack.
I thank you guys very much. I appreciate coming on, and first podcast I've ever been on, so I appreciate it big time. I love sharing.
Wait, we haven't finished with you yet, Jack. You're signing out, yeah? You're going to do the sign off at the end, yeah? Because that's how we. But sure. It doesn't matter. You just go with what you just basically. You're going to say bye to everyone in the chat. Make sure they like the show. Make sure they like it. Subscribe if they haven't already. Make sure they do that. And also just say your big ups and say out of here, Arsenal Lounge, and then I'll do the rest, mate. Don't worry about it. But Babs, great having you on, by the way, bruv. Loads of great analysis, brother. Okay, Jack, over to you.
Like Lev said, subscribe to the show. Arsenal Lounge. Thanks for having me on, and up the Arsenal.
Jeez, that sounds painful. Yes, up the Arsenal. Let's go, boys.